Hey guys, I'm Brenda Breland and I'm here to chat all things health, fitness, mindset, and business. I will be sharing how transforming my body allowed me to transform my life and how you can do the same. So grab a cup of coffee or your favorite cocktail. I'm so excited you're here. Let's get unfiltered. All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered. And today we have a very exciting guest. We have my husband, and I can tell you're so excited. Are you excited?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, today we're going to be talking a little bit about our journey, because it really is our journey through really the last 7 years of me building my business, investing in coaches, really the whole process, and getting your perspective on it and being very unfiltered and honest about the whole process. So let's start from the top. First and foremost, tell them who you are, what you do, and all that. So they get an idea of your personality a little bit.
I've been a head baseball coach at a university for 15, 16 years, going on 15, 16 years. Very alpha type personality, grew up military lifestyle as a child, very one-sided at times, and sometimes at times hard-headed, and it's been interesting through this process, and I think you guys will figure that out.
You and I are very similar when it comes to we both are very strong-willed in our point of views. When we want something, we both want to do whatever it takes to get it, and we're not really willing to give in very much. So it's made our marriage and our process of building both of our careers very interesting, I think. And I mean, we'll dig in more to that. But okay, so let's kind of start from the top. Obviously, what was it, 2017, whenever I first kind of started actually just getting into the fitness side of it, and I had approached you on investing in a coach. And I remember we lived in this tiny house. How many square feet was that house?
Oh, it was probably, it's
small.
probably a 700, 800 square
Small.
feet.
I mean,
Our first home.
Yeah, our first house.
With one kid.
No, we had two. Raven. I had a Raven. Because I invested in the MLM before that, but we're talking this business stuff, which that's a whole nother thing. But
yeah, you did the prove it and a whole bunch of other things that was hard for me to try to figure out what we were doing. But
yeah, needless to say, we went through all of that. And then in 2017 is whenever I wanted to invest in my first business coach. That was the one that was online. It was $5,000, I think. Is how much it was, 5 or 7? I can't remember. Do you remember?
Some of those things I've blocked out from that period.
Do you remember when I approached you?
I do remember.
Okay, so tell me what you were thinking in that moment, and we'll go through kind of our process.
Yeah, and I think in that moment, you had a stable job, and I had a stable job, and here we had kids, and here you are thinking about investing money into something that has no clear path and has no clear vision, and in my opinion was a risk, limited reward at the time, and we didn't have a savings account, so there was a lot of risks and concerns I had because I was unaware of the field and I wasn't very educated in it. So I knew you would work hard and things like that, but I also understand the fitness world and things change. And I was a strength coach for many years at the university before I became the baseball coach. And I knew that the fads and things changed. I was just concerned about, hey, we're going to take $5,000 that I didn't even know we had or didn't have at the time. And then we're going to dump it into somebody that we have no idea who this individual is. And then we're supposed to trust this person into helping guide you in a career path that would at some point either become a part-time thing or step away and be a full-time and quit and move on from the current job you had at that time. So no, I was scared shitless. I was thinking if this thing falls flat on its face, we're not going to get the money back. And at the same time, you'll be crushed. So it was a very risky situation that at that time, I didn't see any reward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think we kind of argued about it a little bit, and I ended up taking out a credit card to put that coaching on, which you didn't like that either. but it was one of those things that I think at one point you were just like so irritated with me about it. You're like, just do what you want to do, just do what you want to do. And it was kind of one of those things. I did it. And I remember, I think it was 2 months into that, and I had paid back that investment. And I remember like telling you like, yeah, look at that, like I did it. And then fast forward, what, maybe even like 2 years later, I wanted to invest in another coach, and we were in a similar situation. And I think one of the things that was interesting for me is that you were also a coach, but it was very different. Like the way that you coached in like the health and fitness field, which as a strength coach in a college, was very different than what I was doing. So it was kind of hard for you to see how it would work and how it would make money. Is that kind of how you felt?
Well, no, at that time we had just bought this home. We had just moved from the smaller house and had moved into a house that we were going to raise a family in. So we had doubled what our mortgage was going to be and so on. And then we moved out of the community that I was coaching in, and you were doing very good at your previous job at that time. And then we're standing out on the deck, and you dropped this on me in like 2019, early 2019 of, hey, I'm thinking about making this investment in hopes that I can quit working and just work for myself and start this business. And I'm thinking, holy shit, like we're going to give up 40 something $1,000 of a guaranteed income with benefits to now go down another rat hole of what's going on. And yes, the strength field is very different than what I did. I was very team oriented and goal driven, more from a strength side, and wins and losses. It's very black and white in college. You're either winning or you're losing, and there's nothing in the middle. And yes, you're impacting student athletes mentally and physically. But at the end of the day, as a strength coach, you're just graded on, are you guys winning or are you guys losing? And so it was very hard for me to see this slow developing path of reaching out to women and trying to interact with them and trying to engage with them on a personal level. And during that time, I was just thinking there's 5,000 fitness fads out there, and there's 10 million personal trainers, and you got them at Planet Hollywood, and you got all this going on. And is the online world really worth this? So it was something confusing for me, but I hung in there for a little while.
Yeah, you did. I think one of the biggest things that I think I've told you through this whole process, and that I always go back on, and I actually hear a lot of other women saying this, was, for me, I remember multiple times where I said to you, like, you're telling me that you're supporting me, but you're not showing it. And that was like, it was like a constant, like, you had that doubt, you had that fear. And it was really hard for you to be able to say, yeah, I support you and I know you can do this, but like,
well, yeah, because it's hard to see the future and the reward of something, because going into this field is not like when you're working at a business or you're working as a coach, for me, for example, where you see the result immediately, or there's immediate results, or there's also a cushion to fall back on that. Hey, if you lose or you do fail, you're still going in a 9-to-5 job the next day and drawing a paycheck. In this field, I kept thinking, if you lose a client, or if your clients aren't performing the way they want to perform and they step away, shit, we're out $3,000. You know, you're not just coming down the next morning and punching a clock and drawing your wage hourly. And a lot, when you say like, you're supporting me, but you're not supporting me, it's when I look back at it and reflect on it, it's a lot of it is just fear and anxiety of the fact of like, why are we stepping away from something that's comfortable and trying to do something that's uncomfortable? And whenever you feel like you've lost control, or you don't have control of an outcome or a smooth flowing situation that has a guarantee to it, yeah, it's hard to support something. And I'll be the first to agree that, like, yeah, I probably didn't support what was going on, because in the back of my mind, you continue to think it's going to fail because I'm not educated in this. I don't have the knowledge in this.
Yeah.
So I can't be realistic on what the vision or what the outcome is going to be. So,
yeah.
And I understand that now.
Yeah. Which I think it works is, I think it all happens for a reason in the way it doesn't, but I do think there's a lot of women out there and not just women, like couples and partners and all those things that are like us, to where whether it's the male or the female, one of them is like wanting to do something like this or like believes in something like this. And really that one thing that's kind of holding them back is the scarcity and the fear and the anxiety.
Well, this is not the norm. This is not how people were raised or were
No.
raised as kids. So this isn't norm for somebody to say, hey, I'm going to give up what I've seen work for years in my family and other families, and I'm going to step away and I'm going to do this on my own. It's not normal.
Yeah.
So it's challenging for us to understand, like, I've seen my mom work this way and
Yeah.
raise us right. And now you want to abandon a check and benefits of what's coming in monthly to try to go out and be ambitious and chase a dream.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah. And I think as we went through this process, I think we've learned, both of us, right? Because I feel like even like we're talking about my job right now, but I mean, there was a time where we were giving our all to your job, and
100%.
it was kind of the other way around. So I think it's interesting to be able to have a little bit of that give and take in the marriage. And even though it can be really fucking scary going into things, whether we're having to give up an income or time or whatever it is, being able to like try to support that other person the best we can to help them get to their goals, even if it's really hard or you might still think it's going to fail or whatever you're feeling on that back end.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the frustration and a lot of it comes from, it's like a tug of war of time. Like, how much time are you going to put into this that I feel like you're taking away from me or from the kids and things like that, that we were accustomed to having all the time. And so it's just a tug of war feel of feeling like you're getting left out.
Mhm.
And I think that was a lot of what I was going through for a while, is you just committed to building your business. And me being like, I'm here,
Mhm.
like, what's going on? Where I was used to having you all the time and anytime around, and same with the kids. But when you flip that to how I built my program and the success we're having, you got to see and be in the shadow of that for a long time. And I think that's where clarity came to me of like, you gave me the opportunity to get to where I wanted to get to and build what I wanted to be to where I'm happy now. By God, I need to give you the same freaking time and energy into doing what you love doing. And then we've got a household with two, husband and wife, that are passionate about what they're doing and love what they're doing every day.
Yeah. So what, like, looking back, is there, I mean, because we both know I'm that type of person, luckily. I don't think there's too many people. There's not everyone's like me, and it's gonna kind of, even though you weren't really for all the things I knew that I needed to do what I needed to do and kind of went for it. So I guess like, if you're talking to someone who maybe their wife is wanting to do this and they're sitting in the place where you were sitting and they're thinking like, this is a bad idea, this isn't going to work, what would you say to them, like, now looking back?
Yeah. And I mean, I thought it was a horrific idea at the time. And I mean, you got to think we battled through the COVID aspect, and maybe the COVID aspect helped this business. Now that I think about it and look at it with the online side of it and things like that. But we obviously got married for a reason.
Mhm.
We trust each other. We respect each other's judgment. We both know that we want what's best for each other and we want what's best for the family. And as clouded and tough as that is to see, at some point you just have to, you got to want your spouse to be happy.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what it came down to at the end. You were doing a profession that you didn't enjoy. That fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I get to enjoy my job every day. And you don't have the opportunity to do that because you were nervous. You had some concerns, and I wasn't helping the matter by no means.
Scared.
I mean, every time you would say, I don't know if this is going to work, I'd say, well, it's not going to work. I mean, so I wasn't helping by any means either. But if I could look back at it, it's just like, if you're going to take a chance, take a chance. there's always a point where you can pull back or proceed further.
Mhm.
And we took a chance, and we have the opportunity now to do things that you and I didn't do with our families when we were kids, which is great. And it's great for our kids.
Yeah.
So taking a chance for happiness or to do what you want to do is important. And I'm glad you took that chance, regardless of, how you felt about how I felt at the time. But the chance was obviously rewarding now.
Yeah, it was worth it. Even though, I mean, it's not been easy. Like, we know that. We're not gonna sit and sugarcoat it. Like,
Well, it hasn't been. It's been
not
tough as
easy.
hell.
Yeah, it's been a road, but I mean, since I left my job, which, I mean, we both to this day talk about, like, the day I left my job, you were saying like, oh fuck, like, how are we gonna do this? Like, we're gonna have to find like, how are we gonna pay our bills? How are we gonna pay all this? And like, in less than 3 months, I had already made double what I had been making at my job. And
But you had a plan.
I did.
And at that time, I didn't want to hear your plan. I didn't want to know a whole lot about what was going on, but you had a plan. And obviously that plan was well thought out and was in line with what it needed to be. And obviously, if this was your dream job, you were working to make sure you were going to be successful. You have to be driven. I mean, we're not going to sit here and freaking say
you have
that
to be driven. You have to be, you have to be willing to invest in yourself, in the business. You have to be willing to commit a lot of time.
We're not going to sit here and say that just a lazy person or a pushover person can do these type of things, and the husband's just supposed to smile and be supportive. I mean, we're not going to sit here and bullshit people like that, but you have to be driven, and you've got to want to be successful. And I think a lot of that was part of the path and how quickly things were progressing into where they're at now. And you still have a young business. I'm not sitting here saying that you're tenure in this thing or not, but everybody's still learning, and we're still learning, and we still have our bouts over this from time to time. So
I mean, when I invested in my business coach now that I've been with for over 1.5 years, by the way, you were not happy about that.
I still struggle with that from time to time. I mean, by God, talk about paying somebody a damn mortgage every month. And then I'm trying to say, hey, how do we know this is actually working?
We know it's working by the amount of money we're putting in savings that didn't exist before. And that's how we know.
I agree.
But yeah, and I think I don't know, it's just really interesting to look back on the whole journey. And then I talk to other women on these calls with other business coaches, and they're literally telling me like, and I told you the other day, I had a call with a woman, and she's like, I just feel like my husband says he supports me, but he doesn't. And like, I'm like, I totally feel you. I understand what you're feeling on that. And I don't think like in those moments you were meaning to do that. I think, again, it was just fear and like unknown and unnormal. Like, yeah,
definitely.
But I think like having a perspective from the male side and going through that, and also from my side and understanding, like, at any time, like, I just really felt like this is what I was meant to do. And I know it sounds so cliche, but I think we both knew I was not made to work in corporate America. Like, that just was never my thing. I mean, I had a business before we even got married. So I knew, like, once I realized that I could do this, that I wanted to like do everything I could to make it happen. And then like, really, whenever you kind of just didn't fight me on some of the stuff, it just opened the door. Even though I maybe didn't feel like that support was there, you weren't fighting me on it.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're trying to say is, like, it takes a strong-willed woman or male, but woman, to do what you're talking about doing, because you're here looking at your husband or your spouse, and you can tell that they're not 100% on board.
Yeah.
But you're continuing to chase your dream and to chase your passion, knowing that the other person was on the sideline, like, not sure if they want to get in the game. So, I mean, we're standing on the cliff, and like, you're supposed to jump into water, but you can't see the water. And that's the toughest part for a husband, or for me, is like, and that's where I just took a step back and was like, shit, man, the time and the energy and everything I had to put into building my program, she's going to have to be able to put the same amount of time and energy into that as well. And sacrifices are going to have to be made. And we've made a lot of damn sacrifices on both sides of our professional lives. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we know.
And it's kind of part of it. and it comes with jealousy. There's jealousy. I mean, I'm jealous at times of the things you commit to your business and the time you commit to your business, but that just took time to overcome and understand. I mean, it's hard to be jealous when somebody comes up and they're like, hey, we just put 6,000 in the savings. And you're like, well, shit, I ain't too jealous no more. So, I mean.
Okay, we'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. Yeah. And yeah, well, I mean, like we said before, we're not perfect. We're still learning. I think I just wanted to share that I think a lot of people are just starting to follow and knowing that I'm doing the business coaching stuff now and don't realize that I was really sitting where they were sitting, like not very long ago. Like I've only been coaching full time now for it'll be 3 years in October. So it's not that long. So even though this whole journey, my first investment was in 2017 in business coaching, right after we had Raven, I've continued to make many investments that you didn't understand and many decisions that were made with like, okay, do whatever you want to do, Brenda, do whatever you want to do type of situation. But there's always been support in that you're not stopping me, you're not doing those things.
I think the method of just do and then show the success or the finances, then tell the husband later how it happened. Like, hey, we just did this. And I'm like, wow. And you're like, yeah, but I had to put $1,500 into this to make $9,000. And you're like, cool. Yeah, we had to do that. Of course you had to do something like that. So like,
oh, it's funny. It really is funny. But I know how to handle though too. And I tell this to a lot of people, like, you have to know how to approach. Like if I come in hot to you and I like say things, I know you're gonna be like freak the fuck out. I'll be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, when you come in, you're like, I'm gonna spend $3,500 a month on a business coach. I'm like, what the fuck are we like? I mean, this is what I do. I coach. What advice do you want? Like, I mean, by God.
Oh my God.
You got a dude right here that knows how to win. And you don't ask me one question about how to win.
Yeah, but your winning on the field is different than me winning online. Let's be honest. I know how to win and I know how to win. We're both good at different forms of winning.
Yeah, and there's some similar strategies, but yeah, it's definitely a different roadmap to both ways. So
Definitely. Okay. So to close this out, like, just again, if we have wives listening and they're sending this to their husbands and they're on the edge of whether or not they really want to and support their wife investing in a business coach or going for starting their business or whatever it is, what would you say to them?
What would I say to the husband, or what would I say to the wife?
The husband.
I mean, that you got to let your wife take a chance for happiness, and you got to give her the opportunity to do what she wants to do. And when you have to be supportive through that. And is it all going to pay off? Is this going to be the great story? Oh, no, there's going to be challenges and you're going to have to alter things and so on. But life is about being happy, and a relationship's about being happy. And if Brenda has to make herself happy in order for our relationship to be happy and be great. And in order for her to be happy, she has to do the damn things that make her happy. And so if you want a happy wife, let her do the things that let her
start her business.
Let her do the things that make her happy. If you're tired of sleeping on the couch, then fucking change something. I mean, I don't know what to say, but yeah, just let them take a chance on something that they want to do. And at that point, then the ball's in her court to make it successful or not.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you for being honest and unfiltered. We got the dog here.
I feel like I should have wore a headset. Some of the podcasts I watched are wearing the damn earphones.
I'm not that legit yet. We'll have to invest in that next. Are you ready for that one?
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you guys so much for joining on this episode of Unfiltered. And as always, let's keep it unfiltered. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And as always, keep it unfiltered.